Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Kenya Power and Lighting Company.
A day after the unveiling of the Azimio leader Raila Odinga as the official candidate for Kenya's, or rather for the position of the African Union Commission chairperson, President William Ruto is in Nyanza for the better part of the week, and the political undertones on the first day are quite heavy. We'll be telling you what transpired today.
And as that term commences, well, teachers allied under KUPPET maintain that the industrial action, if you like, strike, is still on.
And also tonight, we'll delve deeper, really, into the conversation of a transition from the National Hospital Insurance Fund to SHIF, that is the Social Health Insurance Fund, and most importantly, focusing on the authority that will be managing what we are calling a SHIF. That conversation we'll have with Dr. Duranera Kioria, the Presidential Advisor on Matters Health. But first things first, here are tonight's highlights.
Nataka niwahakikishie walimu wa Kenya ya kwamba kama serikali sasa tumetoa pesa, tutalipa arrears yao mwisho wa mwezi huu. Kila mwalimu atapata pesa zake.
The message to our members is that the strike is on.
Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET, ignores court directive suspending ongoing strike, even as President Ruto pleads with teachers to return to work. Guilty as charged. Former Samburu Governor Moses Lenol Kulal found guilty of multiple charges in an 84 million shillings graft case. Parliament gives the National Treasury 2 weeks to make public the JKIA modernization deal with foreign company Adani. And where is your umbrella? Weatherman announces short rains in October through November to December. And Brad Murari is a sign language interpreter. My name is John Jacob Kioria. You're very much welcome to the broadcast.
Good evening, I'm Regina, Manyara.
Now, President William Ruto has appealed to the striking teachers to back down and attend to learners as the government addresses their concerns.
And despite a section of the teaching fraternity vying to push on with industrial action, despite a court injunction, President Ruto says the government is committed to ensuring the teachers' concerns as contained in the agreed collective bargaining agreement are met.
Wycliffe Okech has that report.
President William Ruto on Wednesday kicked off his 4-day working tour of the Lakeside Nyanza region.
Leo hapa tumekuja kuanzisha hii mradi ya maji.
The head of state inspected the Lower Kuja irrigation project, announcing that the government had committed 68 million shillings towards land compensation to allow the project's implementation.
Tumeweka pesa kwa Coffee Cherry Fund. Hatutaki tena cooperatives ambazo ni za kahawa ati waende wakope pesa kwa mabank, wanalipishwa interest ya 20-25%. Sasa tuko na pesa ya serikali, waende wachukue hiyo pesa, interest ni 3% peke yake.
President Ruto directed the National Cereals and Produce Board to devise modalities of ensuring ready market for rice farmers from the Lower Kuja irrigation scheme.
Tumeanzisha soko Pale Ntimaru tayari soko imeanza. Hapa Kegonga tutawajengea soko ingine, mimi nafanya mambo ya procurement. Pale Kehanja Town tutawajengea soko kubwa ya municipality kwa sababu tumekubaliana na governor wenu pale inahitaji soko kubwa ya municipality.
Tunakushukuru sana kwa hii mradi ya maji kwa sababu mahitaji ya municipality ni maji mzuri. Tunakushukuru sana kwa hospitali mzuri kwa sababu mahitaji ya municipality ni hospitali mzuri, na hizi barabara ambazo umetuahidi zote tunawapangia hao watu wetu hapa.
The president also broke ground for the Kegonga Cluster Water Project in Kioria East before launching the construction of the Ngere-Mapera Road in Suna East. He also used the opportunity to appeal to the striking teachers to return to class.
Mimi nataka niwahakikishie walimu wa Kenya ya kwamba kama serikali sasa tumetoa pesa, tutalipa arrears yao mwisho wa mwezi huu. Kila mwalimu atapata pesa zake. Kwa hivyo tunataka walimu wetu wote pamoja na wanafunzi wetu waendelee na masomo na taratibu iliyowekwa ya semester ya 3 bila ya matatizo yoyote.
President Ruto also used the opportunity to make a case for political inclusion and unity of purpose a day after presiding over the official launch of Raila Odinga's candidature for the African Union Commission chairmanship.
Tumetoka mbali ama hatujatoka mbali? Si tumetoka mbali? Mimi nimeamua ya kwamba mimi nitamsaidia baba kwa sababu yeye ni mzee wetu, kwa sababu tunamheshimu, kwa sababu amechangia demokrasia ya Kenya, kwa sababu ni kiongozi ambaye anajulikana na ako na heshima ya kwamba awe kiongozi wetu wa bara la Afrika.
Umetufanyia vizuri kwa sababu umetutolea ile siasa tulikuwa tumeambiwa wa shareholders. Tulikuwa tumeshtuka sana tukajificha, lakini umetutoa ukasema uunganishe nchi nzima. Asante sana.
The head of state later addressed a gathering in Kisumu. For Prime Edition from Migori County, I am Wycliffe Okech.
Meanwhile, third-term learning in public secondary schools in the country is yet to begin after the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers said their teachers' strike is still on.
According to the union's Secretary General Akelo Misori, the teachers will only resume duty if their employer agrees to a return to work formula that addresses their grievances.
Frederick Pasayo with the details.
A day after the Employment and Labour Relations Court temporarily suspended the ongoing teachers' strike called by the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET, the union says it is not budging.
Today, KUPPET has been served with the court orders obtained by the Teacher Service Commission. The union lawyers are seized with the matter and they have since moved to seek an interpretation of the said orders. Pending that interpretation, our members, the message to our members is that the strike is on.
And true to Misori's words, teachers allied to KUPPET on Wednesday kept off the classroom and instead took to the streets.
Tunataka walimu wetu wa JSS wakuwe confirmed. Kama hawawezi kuwa confirmed, sisi tutaendelea na maandamano.
The aftermath was a low turnout of students who reported for the third term. In Mombasa County, various secondary schools had near empty classrooms.
The classes which have like 5, 7, 10 students, we combine them.
It was the same case in Kiambu County as explained by parents who want a truce between KUPPET and the Employer Teacher Service Commission.
Serikali wakae chini na walimu na wasuruhishe hiyo shida juu hata hizi taxi zinaongezwa, mshahara wa mwalimu haujaongezwa.
Ombi tuko tunayo kwa serikali ni hii mgomo isiendelee sana ndio watoto wetu waendelee kusoma.
The action by KUPPET has also attracted calls for consultations between key stakeholders.
I spoke to the TSC, Nancy Macharia, who is in charge of TSC, and she was dilly-dallying on the return to work formula because of the court order they have received. This court order, to me, I'm not a lawyer, but it has been overtaken by events because the government has already accepted to pay, and there is no need our children should not be in class.
We would like to call upon the government to have a dialogue with the puppet and then harmonize issues within the education sector.
The ongoing strike continues to delay the start of learning in the third term, with students expected to write national assessments and examinations. Parsai Frederick, Prime Edition.
And an anti-corruption court has found immediate former Samburu County Governor Moses Lenol Kulal guilty of multiple charges in the 84 million shillings graft case involving the supply of petroleum products at the county government during his tenure.
While delivering the judgment, Chief Magistrate Thomas Nzioki said the prosecution had proved that Lenol Kulal and Hesbon Ndadi as the ultimate beneficiaries of the public funds through Oryx service station.
And as Ruth Omboy now reports, the court noted that there was overwhelming evidence that the former county chief acted in conflict of interest.
Wednesday's Milimani's anti-corruption court was a behavior of activities as former Samburu Governor Moses Lenol Kulal awaited to know his fate.
Being the governor of Samburu County government, you used your office to improperly confer.
Trial Magistrate Thomas Nzioki in his 4 hours decision noted the evidence produced in court, including the 231 payment vouchers and invoices, showed that Lenol Kulal and his proxy Hesbon Ndadi were the principal beneficiaries of the fund.
It is not in doubt that at all material types are relevant to this case. The governor remained the registered owner and the sole proprietor of Oryx service station. He is also the account holder for the KCB account of Oryx.
The trial magistrate also found Lenol Kulal 9 co-accused persons guilty of abuse of their offices by allowing the governor to trade with the county.
I find you guilty and convict you for the abuse of office contract to section 46 and rate 48 of the SECA in count 6.
The accounting officer was also on the spot for misleading the court on the ownership of Oryx service station.
The integrity of the office of governor in discharge of your duties was compromised by your private interests.
Lenol Kulal was charged in 2019 with abuse of office and conflict of interest leading to the alleged loss of 84 million shillings.
Notion of bail pending sentence is not known in law. So we do pray that we proceed in the normal way, since the issue of bail is moot. The issue of hearing is moot.
Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission spokesperson Eric Ngombe hailed the decision as a significant milestone in the fight against graft.
KCC appreciates the jurisprudence that is coming from our courts, that even if you did the work, such as it happened in this case, the money paid to you will be recovered in full if that contract was illegal, if it was given in conflict of interest or violation of the public procurement laws.
Lenol Kulal is the first former governor to be convicted in an anti-corruption case. Mitigation and sentencing is set for Thursday, 29th August 2024. After a 5-year legal battle, former Samburu Governor Moses Lenol Kulal has been found guilty of a direct conflict of interest, sending a stern warning to public officers holding public offices. Ruth Omboy reporting from Milimani's Anti-Corruption Court.
Treasury PS Chris Kipto Wednesday was hard-pressed by members of parliament to shed light on the proposed multi-billion shilling Jomo Kenyatta International Airport modernization deal that would see the investor Adani Holding Limited occupied for 30 years.
Kipto's explanation that details on the deal will only be made public once finalized by Treasury angered members of the National Assembly's Public Debt and Privatization Committee, who demanded that the deal be suspended until its details are laid bare.
Here's Abdias Aziz Hashim with the details.
Is on the status of the proposal by the Adani Airports Holding Limited for the investment in the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA.
Kenyans will have to wait 14 more days to have a glimpse inside the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport Adani Holdings deal.
Well, we will deal with it if that happens. But for now, we have told them to bring the matter within 2 weeks, so let's allow them to do that.
This became evident Wednesday afternoon after Treasury Principal Secretary Chris Kipto remained tight-lipped over the deal set to see the national carrier in a 30-year deal with the Indian firm.
And our response is as follows: that the review of the proposal by Adani Airports Holding Limited for the investment in the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport is currently ongoing. Once finalized, the National Treasury will give a comprehensive submission on the same.
This response irked members of the National Assembly's Public Debt and Privatization Committee, probing the deal that has elicited public interest and a strike threat by the Kenya Airports Workers Union KAU on September 1st.
On this matter, rather than this one sentence that you put on your presentation.
International airport is a government property, is a security area, is an area that means a lot to Kenyans. So we cannot just take that for an answer.
Some of the protests that we witnessed last month and in the recent past partly was a result of some of these deals.
Don't let other people drive that narrative. Don't make it secretive.
Therefore, Mr. P.S., again, with all due respect, this is a thorny issue. Some of us, our re-election is based on how we handle this matter. And therefore, to us, it's a matter of career progression. And therefore, we have to take it seriously.
The lawmakers further proposed that the deal to be halted until Treasury sheds more light on it.
And maybe stop this transaction until such a time we are vast with every information. And no, I mean, the only bad thing about this is that Parliament is not in session, because we would have tabled a status report as soon as Tuesday, so that then we stop the process until we are well versed with all the information.
I have heard the members, and I think it's only fair that I come back with a comprehensive report on this matter.
KAU Secretary General Moses Ndiema says workers fear that the deal will render them jobless.
That we are opposed to anything called Adani. Anything, any trace of Adani, we are not going to allow it.
The PS was also put to task to explain why the government bails out the national carrier at the expense of the taxpayers. Abdiaziz Hashim for Prime Edition.
And 14 days it is. We'll be keeping tabs on that development. For now, a quick breather. We'll be back.
Of course, a reminder that our conversation tonight really features the transition from NHIF to SHIF and our focus being the Social Health Authority. The President's advice on matters health, that is Dr. Kioria, is right here with us. We'll be linking up with him in a bit, and that largely will be the basis of our conversation tonight.
Ni zawadi za kila wiki, 100,000 kila wiki, 250,000 kila wiki. Uamuzi ni wako. Sasa Lutomoto kwenye holiday bonanza hii inakuletea game mpya kupitia *570# option 4 na ujishindia up to 250,000 Kenyan shillings ukiwa nyumbani. Na draw ni ya kila wiki, na kupata tikiti yako ni kupitia *570# pekee option 4, na tikiti yako ikitufikia inaingia ndani ya drum.
Ni aje mam, umeupdate token meter yetu?
Ai, kuupdate token meter yetu? Hiyo ni nini?
Acha nikuchanue mam. Leta simu yako. So, kuna hii text tulipata from Kenya Power. Kwa hiyo text kuna code 2. Weka code ya kwanza ku reset token meter. Alafu weka code ya pili ku update token meter.
Haya, ni hivyo tu. Wacha niulize wa mama wangu wa chama kama wameupdate token meter zao, wajipange.
Update token meter.
Welcome to What's in Your Kitchen, a show that celebrates African and Kenyan dishes.
Be careful. Yes, because I've seen some fire jump there. Rusha. Wait.
Recipes cooked by African guest cooks, pro chefs, and foodies alike.
These ones are going in the potatoes.
Welcome back. You're watching the Prime Edition. Now to some politics. The Kalonzo Musyoka-led function of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition has vowed to defend the constitution against attempts that may arise to amend it for selfish gains.
The self-declared leader of the opposition, who was flanked by DAPK Kenya leader Eugene Wamalwa, Peter Munya of PNU and Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni, was speaking at an Okoa Katiba event at Ufangamano, where they termed curtailing of protests against tax increments through killings and arbitrary arrests as an attack on the constitution promulgated 14 years ago.
That the opposition, working together with the Gen Zs, the millennials, their parents, will work as a team to make sure that there will be no derogation of our basic rights under this constitution. And nobody will be allowed to get away with it. It's not possible. This is a new country.
The constitution we celebrate 14 years later requires that citizens be allowed to participate in important decisions that concern them in their counties and in their country. That requirement of public participation is not a favor from the state.
Deputy governors want the County Government Act amended to specify their functions and roles.
Led by Laikipia Deputy Governor Ruben Kamuri, the deputies engaged the Senate Devolution Committee on how to make the proposition prestigious and impactful in county governance.
At least 8 deputy governors appeared before the Senate Devolution Committee to push for amendment of the County Government Act to spell out the functions and programs they should handle at county governments. According to the deputies, some governors had assigned their principal assistants executive roles, leaving a majority of them idle.
There are those resolutions within the cabinet that are usually passed. Who takes charge of them? If you leave it to the CEC, he or she can take his sweet time. So that supervision of those already executed orders from the cabinet is what we are seeking.
They, however, rejected a proposal by senators to compel governors to assign them executive roles. They instead preferred to run programs such as disaster management and chair all county government subcommittees.
Work of the programs, the work of subcommittees, the work of overseeing government to deliver is already too much. And you are supposed to be at the apex even to supervise the CCs themselves. So if you are given another job now of a CC, it means, 1, you're also at the same level, 2, you're also accountable.
They further sought a budgetary allocation for their offices to enhance their supervisory role.
If you say you want to have overall and then you want to have budget for your office, then the office will come under the governor. The governor will give you at least, maybe tell us that out of the budget of the governor office, that you need some percent, a specific percent for your office.
I think it is important that we allocate some budget of whatever percentage. I think we need to allocate a percentage, whether it is 2%, whether it is 30% of the governor's budget.
In this bill, you cannot be able to set a budget limit on this bill. But the county assembly can be able to do that, to appropriate.
The Senate Devolution Committee will table a report on the proposals when Senate resumes sittings next month. Gishoke Washira, Prime Edition.
Now, Kenya will experience short rains in the last quarter of the year, with some parts of the country receiving slightly above average rain due to a mild La Nina.
According to the Kenya Meteorological Department, warmer than average temperatures really are expected over the central and eastern regions of the country during the same period.
As most regions in the country continue to experience an extended period of chilly weather, The Kenya Meteorological Department is now asking Kenyans to brace themselves for short rains in the October, November and December seasons. Western region is expected to receive slightly above average rainfall, while central region, isolated areas in northeast and southeast lowlands and coastal regions are expected to receive below average rainfall.
Where we expect high rainfall are fairly high grounds, but you find that in their vicinity are also lowlands as the water makes its way towards the lake, especially Lake Victoria.
At the same time, temperatures are expected to be warmer than average across most parts of the country, except in a few areas in Western Kenya, where both maximum and minimum temperatures are anticipated to be near normal.
The weather is not directly conforming to what we have historically.
The distribution of rainfall is expected to be poor across several parts of the country, marked by prolonged dry spells and occasional isolated storms, even in the regions where the prediction indicates depressed rainfall. These will be driven by weak La Nina conditions, characterized by cooler than average sea surface temperatures over the central and eastern equatorial Pacific Ocean, which are likely to develop during the September to November period and persist into early 2025, along with the neutral Indian Ocean dipole. Kenyans have been advised to put in place contingency plans and strategies to avert negative impacts of the suppressed rains.
We are happy to provide this at the end of August so that farmers and other users have sufficient time within the entire month of September to make arrangements.
Opito Chemtai for Prime Edition.
And now, child marriage remains a significant challenge in society.
This harmful practice has deprived countless girls of their education and childhood, while also exposing them to increased risks of domestic violence and higher rates of maternal and infant mortality due to early pregnancies.
The film Nawi, shot and produced in Turkana County, delves into the complex issue of child marriages following the journey of a young girl named Nawi as she bravely resists this age-old tradition.
Our reporter, Jacqueline Masharia, had a conversation with part of Nawi film crew and filed the following report on our segment, Cinemas and Theatre. Take a look.
Dear future me. The film Nawi, shot in Turkana County, follows the life of Nawi, a character portrayed by 15-year-old Michelle Lemuya. Sing for you. The story centers around a determined young girl growing up in the rural Turkana County.
I'm sure Nairobi is waiting for you.
Nawi's aspiration of attending high school are shattered when she learns that her father, Eri, played by Ochungo Benson, plans to marry her off to a stranger, Shadrach, played by Ben Teke.
You will have your duties overload.
Papa, please. This is my life. Despite her family's desperate need for the bride wealth, symbolized by a substantial amount of livestock.
How can you run away?
Because I'm afraid. Because of dreams. Nawi refuses to accept her fate and bravely resists the arranged marriage.
We struggled very hard to find the stories because there's a lot of stories there, but for us as Muzungus, as Europeans, we don't have the skills to tell it authentically or to find an authentic story. So what we did is we did a writing competition in Kenya throughout the nation and asked people to come up with stories about pastoralist communities, anything. And then we had a very talented writer, her name is Milka Cherotich, and she came up with the story of Nawi.
And what really struck us in northern Kenya was the idea that there were no strategic opportunities and spaces for women empowerment, and especially getting more girls into education.
In a unique collaboration, Nawi was directed by a team of 4. Toby and his brother Kevin, both European, recognized the importance of authenticity in telling this story and brought on Kenyan directors Valentine Cheluget and Apu Morin to ensure the film's cultural accuracy. The cast include Michelle Lemuya, Joel Liwan, Ochungo Benson, Ben Teke, Michelle Chebet, Patrick Okech, Nungo Mariana Kinyi, and Nyokabi Masharia. Michelle Lemuya, who plays the lead role, made her acting debut in Nawi.
We knew we need a girl to carry this film, and we need a brother as well, which is the second lead role, Joel. And what we did was we went to all of the schools in Turkana, and we just did open castings with hundreds and hundreds of boys and girls. And we made them play scenes in English, say sentences in Swahili, and then we kind of distilled the top talents, and we did like a recall, and that's how we ended up finding Michelle Lemuya.
Sometimes it was really overwhelming because you've just come from set, you're really tired, and you have to sit for an exam, then after that you have to come back. But I thank all of them because they were there. They supported me throughout, and even after set, now coming back to school, that was really hard because I was really behind in terms of syllabus coverage. Now I had to use my extra time to go consult teachers so that I could catch up with the rest.
The film crew noted that the production process was far from easy, despite successfully completing the film. One major challenge was transporting filming equipment to Lodwar in Turkana County, which took the team an entire month due to stringent taxes and licensing procedures.
I remember we spent a whole month in Nairobi struggling to get these equipments down to Lodwar, and this is something that really, as an experience to also the government, on bureaucracy, on processes, and how can they support and promote film industry in the country without all these backward processes and taxes and all these things.
Logistically, with the region being so vast and so remote, that there's no real infrastructure for film yet. So we had to kind of find a way of even supplying water to this amount of people, and the cast was crucial. And for us as Muzungus, the heat over there, like you get 40 degrees, it's just brutal. We're just melting away in the sun.
There are many Nawis in our villages that have dreams, but these dreams are suppressed by culture. And the idea around this movie is to really bring this voice up so that the international community can come in solidarity with these young girls in these remote villages, support them, empower them, and give them opportunity to achieve their dreams.
Before, I didn't have that voice, but acting this role in the movie gave me this voice. Now I can confidently speak against this practice.
You are no woman but a child.
Nawi's father remains deeply rooted in tribal traditions, influenced by the council of uncles, stepbrothers, and clan elders. In a daring act of defiance, Nawi flees on the wedding eve. Will she pursue her dream of a brighter future?
It's screening every day, several times in Anga Cinema, and from Friday it's going to screen also in Westgate Cinema. And I just hope, people are interested in the topic, are interested to watch the film and come.
Our future me. My biggest dream is to have a voice when I grow up.
Jacqueline Masharia for Cinemas and Theatre.
kwetu ya mkutano. Siamini. Amini usiamini, Holiday Bonanza ni ya kila mtu na zawadi zitakufikia mahali popote. Dial *570#, chagua option 4 na zawadi kibao zinakungoja. Ikiwa kila wiki kuna 250,000 Kenyan shillings za kushindaniwa. Ni *570# pekee, option 4, tushinde.
Kenya is stepping into a bright new future where every citizen's retirement is not just secure, but golden. The Retirement Benefits Authority, RBA, in conjunction with the National Treasury, shall be unveiling RBA's 6th strategic plan and the National Retirement Benefits Policy on Thursday, August 29, 2024 at the Kenyatta International Conference Center between 9 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. Imagine a future where your golden years are truly golden, marked by dignity, financial security, and peace of mind. We are simplifying the rules, extending our reach, and embracing innovation to craft a retirement system that's as resilient as it is inclusive. This is a promise that no one will be left behind, and that the future is brighter when we build it together. Let's make your future not just secure, but extraordinary. The launch, which will coincide with a 2-day pension sector convention, shall be live on KBC TV and shall be streamed live on RBA's social media channels. RBA, safeguarding your retirement benefits.
Welcome back. It's time for us to have a conversation with focusing on the Social Health Authority, of course, in light of a transition from NHIF to SHIF. And I'm joined by Dr. Regina Kioria, who now serves as the Presidential Advisor on Issues Health. Interestingly, he's a former official of the Kenya Medical and Practitioners and Dentists Union, and joins us on set. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you very much, sir.
Karibu sana.
Happy to be here.
Let's, speak about the Social Health Authority. First of all, because much of what Kenyans know out there is the Social Health Insurance Fund, what we are transiting to. The Social Health Authority sounds like a new animal. What is it?
So thank you very much, and thank you, Kenyans, for giving me an opportunity to explain this. So I'll start by saying Social Health Authority is called SHA, is the new body that shall house the 3 funds. The first fund is Primary Healthcare Fund. The second fund shall be SHIF, Social Health Insurance Fund. The third fund shall be the Emergency, Chronic and Critical Illness Fund. So the institution is called SHA. Under SHA has 3 funds. The same way we say NHIF. NHIF is the institution, and it has the insurance policies and the benefits that Kenyans accrue. So this monster that you hear called SHA, SHA is the whole institution, but it houses 3 kinds of funds. And these funds are brought in by the Act of the Social Health Insurance, Social Health Insurance Act of 2023. As you all know, during the campaign period, His Excellency the President promised Kenyans several things in the Health Manifesto. Part of it is we shall have a paradigm shift, whereby we have been used to doing curative services. So now we start concentrating on preventive and promotive services. If you look through that manifesto also, there was a promise of some amount of money to the tune of 100 billion to fund chronic and critical illnesses. It also promises an emergency fund. Now, to actualize the promises that were given to by the government, once the government came into place, a whole framework for implementation was developed. Now, looking at the framework of implementation, we looked at how do we reform NHIF. As I will say now, that is, most of us have benefited from NHIF. I know your relative, your friend, we have really benefited from NHIF. And as such, the mood is to improve NHIF. And we looked at all the clauses that we needed to amend through NHIF. And it was the advisory that we are making a new law. So instead of amending our old document, our old act that has been there since time immemorial, as you may know, NHIF has been there since 1965. So the idea was to come up with a new law. And as such, 4 laws were drafted, taken through public participation. They were enacted, assented into law on 19th of October 2023 by His Excellency the President. And as such, now we are the implementation stage.
And we will talk about the three funds under the Social Health Authority. But there's something I really want to understand.
Yes.
The three are under the Social Health Authority.
Thank you.
Previously, we've had the NHIF board really overseeing the management of NHIF.
Very true.
Will SHA be the managing body under these three in terms of even approving dispensing and stuff like that? Or does it mean that other than just being above it, that these respective funds will also have its own distinctive management?
Thank you. Thank you very much. So the authority, as created by the Social Health Insurance Act, shall have a board, which is currently in place with a chairman and several board members and representation, shall have a management from a CEO and directors. From that, there shall be the three funds that shall have fund managers. So under the funds, each fund shall have a whole team managing it. So shall have the actuary team, shall have the benefits team, shall have the fund managers, the claim managers under the fund. So the house is called SHA. So there shall be one board.
There's only one board?
One board,
okay.
One management team. And then now housing these different kinds of funds. Yes.
Quite interesting.
Yes.
Now let's talk about what these three funds, what are the benefits to members of the public?
Thank you. So for I to explain what are the benefits, it's good to just circle back and see where we are coming from.
Okay.
So in the 1965, a sessional paper was drafted, and it is what introduced the formation of NHIF. And then NHIF was called National Hospital Insurance Fund. Now, NHIF started as a department under the Ministry of Health. So a small department there running an insurance program. But with time, there was the need to make it semi-autonomous and independent. And over the many years between 1965 and up to 2020, there has been several amendments to the Act. Amendments just to sort out several issues that kept on coming up. Issues of introducing a civil servant cover under the Insurance Act, issues of enlarging the scope of coverage. There was the issues of representation within the board. And as such, this seemed to be piecemeal things to cure small challenges that kept on coming up. Now, if you look at the benefits that were accrued under a National Health Insurance Fund, specifically, there were over 96 managed schemes. So these managed schemes are kind of group schemes which took care of special interest groups. I'll give an example, civil servants. I'll give another example, county employees. Certain people in a certain group organized would come to this NHIF and come and tell them, we want to enhance our benefits. And then there was the rest of the pool of the normal ordinary payers that were paying monthly contributions and had a cover that used to be called super cover. Now, if you evaluate the kind of cover that used to be there, it was limited. It didn't have most benefits. It had very many conditions to it. And as such, there were issues of access to service. You were supposed to choose a facility where you'll go seek services. And only that facility is where you can seek service. And only in that facility, that's where your premiums will be paid. Number two, that is access of service. Number two, the benefits were limited. So the benefits were limited to the extent that you'll be shocked that at a certain time, outpatient cover was not being covered. You'll be shocked there were benefits that you could not accrue from that kind of benefit. So looking at that thing, it seemed more discriminatory. Yes, we admit that it has really served people. It has served people well. People have benefited from it. But now we looked at it and we said, it is very good to improve this thing. Let us have a social health insurance. And a social health insurance whereby the principle of it is equity, whereby you allow people, notwithstanding your socioeconomic status, notwithstanding the amount of money you earn, notwithstanding where you come from, the benefits are the same. Then number two, we come and look at the level of contributions. If you look at the former NHIF and you look at the low-income earners and the percentage contribution they used to pay to the pool, you'll find somebody earning like 5,000 shillings used to pay 500 shillings. Somebody earning 6,000 shillings earning like 5,000, like 500 to 600 shillings. If you do a percentage of the amount of money they are contributing, some of them are contributing up to 5-6% of the money. Now, I'll look at the other scale of the people who are averagely high earners or middle earners and high earners. Somebody earning 100,000 used to pay 1,700. That is 1.7% of their contribution. Now, if you look at the whole scale, and the principle of insurance is where you pool our risks, pool our resources, so that we enjoy the benefits because we have pooled all that. You come to realize that most of the low-income earners used to subsidize care of the high-income earners. So they used to fund the high-income earners going to private hospitals, going to those specialized facilities and such. Now, based on that, the team looked at, after the new laws were enacted, it provided for development of a new benefits package. And there's a whole process of developing a new benefits package. A benefits package is your entitlement. Basically, for the premium you're paying, this insurance will pay for you this and this and this. Now, we looked at Kenyans and we looked at what the challenges people are facing in other insurance companies. You know, you'll be shocked that in other insurance companies, there's an age limit of access. Above 65, we don't cover. You see, simple, basic
There
things
is
like
a risky group.
There's a risky group. There's a lot of discrimination. There's a kind of people, there's a waiting period of 2 years. Or there are people who have to wait. There are people who have to wait for 2 years and such things. So we said we need to bring equity. We are all Kenyans. We all have one.
On that point of equity, let me cut you so that we take a very small commercial break and then we come back and we'll pick it up there from the point of equity. Dive into innovation at Mombasa International Show, September 4th to 8th, 2024. This year's theme, promoting climate smart agriculture and trade initiatives for sustainable economic growth. Explore innovative agriculture practices, cutting-edge technology and sustainable trade initiatives. Enjoy activities for the whole family. Adults 300 Kenya shillings, kids 250 Kenya shillings. Join us in Shaping Tomorrow. Hashtag Mombasa International Show 2024. We are back. Our focus really is on the transition from the National Hospital Insurance Fund, that is NHIF, to the Social Health Insurance Fund. Before we took a break, Dr. was telling us about equity and introducing us now to these three funds or these three packages. Go ahead, Dr.
Thank you very much. And as such now, to provide for equity, a benefits package was developed. It was costed. So you develop an entitlement, you cost it, then you look at the population. Based on the epidemiological studies, the kind of diseases that we have in this part of the world. Then with that, you look at the available resources. How will you raise resources towards funding this benefits package? Now, we had a very ambitious benefits package. Then we all know what happened a few months ago. We had the finance bill. Part of the proceeds from the finance bill were going to part of the collections from the finance bill were going to fund the delivery of care under the Universal Health Coverage program. Then part of it there were some budget cuts, and as such we had to go and relook this benefits package. So what we decided to do is that leave the most pressing issues, and we cover most of the pressing issues. Then we have a phased approach of introducing the other benefits.
All right.
Now, as such, from that now, the benefits package comes in. What is your entitlement as a Kenyan? So once you register for the social health insurance, one, if you register, you are entitled to all the benefits under the primary health care fund. The only precondition for that is registration. Now, if you go to a primary care facility, which is a level 2 facility, a level 3 facility, these ones is what we call a dispensary or a health center. And I would request my viewer to just picture where you come from, look at the dispensary next to you, look at the health center next to you, look at the services that they offer, They offer outpatient services. You go there for general consultation. You are given medication. You go there for simple surgical procedures. You go there for follow-up clinics in case you have a chronic illness, you are diabetic, you are hypertensive, you book your medication. That is outpatient service. Part of that outpatient service involves taking care of our mothers when they're expectant. Yeah. They give for their ANC clinics, antenatal clinic, postnatal clinics, well baby clinics, immunization for the clinic. Now, once you have finished that, and that one can be accessed in a private hospital, in a public hospital, and in a faith-based hospital.
That's primary health care.
That's primary health care. So this one, they pool, the services are paid by primary health care fund. Okay. And this fund draws its money from the exchequer. This is the taxpayers' money that funds that point. Now, you have accessed those services. The clinician there has seen you need to be referred to a high-level facility. So you need to go to a level 4, level 5, level 6 facility. Now, going to a level 4, level 5, level 6 facility, you need to be registered under the Social Health Insurance Fund, SHIF.
SHIF.
SHIF is a contributory scheme. Now, that is where you go, register. There is a tool, as is being used in the Ministry of Education, is being used by the Kenya National Bureau of Standards to do an economics assessment, just an assessment of ability to pay. You know, as a country, we are used to terming people indigent or poor. We just come and classify people. And now we have a scientific way of determining who is poor, who has ability to pay, and you pay. Then you pay your contributions. For the civil servants or the people under payroll, it is a mandatory contribution that is deducted from your payroll.
Yeah, from your payroll.
Now, from that, you enjoy benefits under the social health insurance. And what benefits are these ones? In the former cover under NHIF, there was no eye care. We have introduced eye care into this. Optical cover. Especially more so for children below 18. Why? Most of the eye problems or even ear problems are better diagnosed at an early age, detected at an early age, and also taken care of at an early age. We are envisioning at a certain time when you get resources, we'll expand it and escalate it to cover everyone. The other thing is the issue of critical illness. You know, in the former NHIF cover, critical illness wasn't covered.
Yeah, it wasn't.
So if you needed to be admitted in an ICU, if you needed emergency treatment and everything, it was not covered. So the other kind of cover is the normal surgical inpatient covers, dialysis. We have enhanced dialysis. Now people are entitled to 2 dialysis sessions. The rebates that come from it have been improved. The amount of money used to pay 9,600, now we're paying 10,750. Then now we are taking care of the donor. You remember when you're going for transplant, you would go with a donor who needed to be screened. You are screened, both of you go through surgery. Then after you've been discharged, you required medication post-transplant. The cover now is covering post-transplant medication. Okay. Now, fast forward now with that enhancement of that, those are the entitlements. Now you are the social health insurance contributory.
I have about 2 minutes. I want you to move to the ECCIF.
Yes, that is where I was going.
Yes.
Now, the Constitution of Kenya 2010 gave Article 43(2) gave a right to emergency care to every Kenyan. But no one has ever actualized that. If you get an accident, God forbid, along the road, an ambulance will pick you, take you to the nearest, or Good Samaritan will take you to the nearest private hospital. But because theirs is a business, they just try to stabilize you and rush you to a government hospital. Now we have actualized that. And to actualize that part of the Constitution, you come up with an emergency fund whereby the practitioners shall pull into that fund. You are entitled to emergency evacuation, that is ambulance services, and 24-hour stabilization at no cost, and that's a right under the Constitution. You do not need to be registered. You understand? That one has there is no pre-requirement to do anything to benefit from that. That is a right granted to Kenyans under the Constitution. So we also expect now in the ECCIF, the Chronic and Critical Illness Fund, once you deplete the cover for your chronic illnesses, diabetes, hypertension, oncology, cancer, and everything, we pool part of the money will be paid by that fund. So basically, that's how we did to create for this, so that for the patients who are chronically ill, patients who are going through cancer treatment, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, there is also a buffer once their cover has been depleted that we can pull from these funds. And these funds, just the last statement, it's a government funded under the exchequer, so it's taxpayers' money again. It is funding primary healthcare, it is funding emergency, chronic and critical illness fund. So the government has given money here and given money here. And also under SHIF, the people who cannot pay, or who you used to call indigents, the vulnerable, the government will be paying for their premiums.
All right. I know my time is up, but a very quick one on registration.
Yes.
The existing database of those in NHIF.
Yes.
It will be transited to SHIF?
Very good. Yes.
So when you talk about registration, that makes you entitled to primary health care. That means once your data has been transferred to SHIF, you're entitled to primary health care.
So I will need to put a clarification on that registration. Yes. Now, the law requires that every person registers afresh. Okay. But we know under the database of NHIF, we have had in excess of 20 million beneficiaries whose data has been there. But you know, it is a patient, it's your data, it's a client's data. So essentially what we are requesting you to do is that data has been cleaned up and everything. You need to give consent for the data to be transferred. It is your personal data. You understand? So by you being requested to register, it's just a verification process. You know, maybe you added a child. You have an extra child. Maybe you have changed your spouse. Maybe the child that you had under your household is past 26 years old, got a job, left out of your household. It's just a verification and improvement of your data. But more importantly is to talk about how do you register. And Kenyans, we are humbly requesting you, it is a simple process. You register through two kinds of modes. There is a USSD process. And the USSD process is where you say star 147 hash. One country, 47 counties, so that you remember.
147.
So that is a USSD code. The other one is the web process, whereby you go to www.sha.go.ke or www.afyayangu.go.ke.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Daktari.
Asante.
It's really been an enlightening session.
Asante.
Thank you very much. This is how you put a cap on the interview. Of course, Regina Manyara is up next with business.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we just want to understand utu na watu, you know, how far can you go to just stand with a brother?
Dunia haijalishi utaishi miaka ngapi. Chenye kinamata ni hiyo miaka yenye umeisha, hata kama ni miaka 150, ni impact gani yenye umeacha kwa society.
Nanyosha mikono juu, basi shindana na Mungu.
Now we change course away from matters health and into business, where the government has rolled out an assessment of the extent of soil degradation in key basket areas to inform distribution of lime and other interventions to nourish the soils.
Even though Kenya experienced good rains this year, the intensity of rain was high in some areas to the level of washing away the good topsoils in breadbasket regions. This has prompted the government to roll out a fact-finding assessment on the level of soil degradation, especially in agricultural-rich areas.
We have a project that we want to undertake on assessing loss and damage of our soil status.
So we have torrential rainfall, and so if you don't do appropriate tillage, it's eroded. So you are cropping subsoil with very little nutrient.
The assessment is expected to inform intervention measures, including lime distribution to boost soil health.
So, and that will be, it will inform the government on the interventions that they need to work on.
The situation is compounded by reports that 63% of Kenya arable land soils are acidic and in need of dire replenishing.
To increase the humus content of the soil, let me say the organic matter content of the soil. Without that, even if you apply mineral fertilizer, you will not get yield response.
We should work to improve the soil health, because once we improve the soil health, it's also linked to human health, to people health.
Use of organic fertilizer is being encouraged as a way of correcting the soil degradation. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
African governments are struggling to respond to domestic socio-economic pressures due to crippling debt. African Forum Network on Debt and Development Executive Director Jason Baraganza says the cost of debt servicing and restrictive terms of loans are severely limiting government spending in critical areas such as healthcare and education.
Africa's external debt has risen from 19% of the gross domestic product in 2010 to about 29% in 2022. Of this, private creditors lead at 44% as of 2021, while the share of bilateral and multilateral creditors has declined from 33% to 14% and 24% respectively. According to civil society groups, private credit comes with more restrictive terms and a reduced policy space for African governments. This situation has sparked calls for a complete overhaul of the global financial architecture.
Why aren't we generating revenue? Why aren't we creating enough money from the debt that we're taking on? What is it that's preventing us when we borrow to build roads or to build railway lines or to build airports or to build hospitals and schools? Why aren't we generating those revenues? What is the system and the architecture that is preventing us from doing that?
I think we are still entrapped in colonial debt and the unjust debts that most African countries inherited. And we still use the same model.
The need to maintain creditworthiness through favorable credit ratings has forced African governments to prioritize debt servicing. At least 27 African countries are now spending more on debt repayment than on critical investments in health, education, and water and sanitation.
But the state has a role to raise maximum available resources to meet the development needs, to protect human rights of its citizens, and to address gender inequalities and other inequalities.
They were speaking at the 4th African Conference on Debt and Development in Maputo, Mozambique, that highlighted the need to focus on sustainable and inclusive development. As of 2024, 4 African countries have paid a single default or have defaulted on their loan repayment. This just tells you the rising public debt and the weak revenue collection is threatening fiscal stability of African governments. Hence, they called for a new economic order. Regina, reporting from Maputo in Mozambique.
Now, only 3 million women-led micro and small medium enterprises have embraced digital financial services from commercial banks due to inadequate financial management skills, especially by those in rural areas. A research by MicroSave Consulting indicates that the number of women-led small enterprises using digital financial services have nearly doubled over the last 2 years to 74%.
The latest research by MicroSave Consulting says only 50,000 women-led micro, small and medium enterprises are classified as formal enterprises. However, uptake of digital financial services among the women-led small businesses remains low.
The majority of them are in the open-air market trade because that's easier to get to. There's a smaller minority that's engaging in cross-border trade, and the focus for both of these women's segments is to try and drive sustainable livelihoods for themselves and their families, which is not easy to do because the space, they often have to rely on their own intelligence, their own informal networks.
The low adoption is blamed on the myriad of challenges that they face.
The biggest challenge is first,
there's a fear of, oh, banks are big. We think they're so big and we are so small, so we think maybe they can't relate to our problems or solve our issues.
Also, something that needs to be addressed is us having facilities that are tailor-made for young people, because these are young people maybe fresh from school and they don't have maybe credit history.
Women often choose not to save and invest in their businesses because businesses are too risky. And from that point of view, women will also often choose not to take loans for their businesses because, again, it's very risky to take on credit, and tomorrow you don't even know if you're going to get money.
The research indicates savings by small businesses in general have increased from 30% to 40% over the last 2 years as small traders embrace financial literacy. Alan Auko, Prime Edition.
Now, there's need for enhanced investments in advanced leak detection technology on water piping system to aid in swift detection and fixing of water leaks. Water and Infrastructure Director Engineer Simon Korir says this will ensure a more efficient and sustainable water distribution system. About 43% of water is wasted during the piping process on account of poor infrastructure and slowness in responding to cases of water leaks.
Future of our water infrastructure and sanitation lies in the hands of engineers and the advanced technologies they deploy.
Engineers are calling for adoption of leak detection technology for more efficient and sustainable water distribution systems, as well as effective pressure management to minimize pipe bursts.
That is an area that we are going into as a ministry, and we also encourage all the stakeholders to now be part and parcel of the same.
And we are encouraging engineers in this country, both local and private, to apply those standards so that no engineer is underpaid and no engineering firm compromises on technical aspects of the project because of finances.
This emerged at the ongoing 3rd Annual Association of Consulting Engineers of Kenya conference, where delegates advocated for continuous on-job training.
Our population. So after this conference, what has been incubated in the universities and within the engineering fraternity, within the engineering industry, will be taken out to the community, to service the people it's supposed to be servicing to.
They underscored the need to boost capacity among local engineers to bridge the gap between job market needs and the skills of students graduating from learning institutions. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition. Well, now that conference is currently underway and is going to be culminating on Friday, and it is open for young budding engineers to just meet, talk about innovations and also network. So if you find time and you're an engineer, find your way to the Edge Convention Center. Now, Kenya's ambition to position itself as a leading manufacturing hub in East Africa have received yet another boost after the Japanese government announced plans to set up a Toyota automobile assembly plant in Dongo-Kundu Special Economic Zone. This is in addition to an investment of 58 billion shillings invested in the development of internal infrastructure at the Special Economic Zone.
The Japanese government's decision to set up a Toyota assembly plant at the Dongo-Kundu Special Economic Zone is part of a broader strategy to enhance Kenya's industrial capacity and deepening economic ties.
Kenya has been making a lot of efforts to improve the business climate in the country, and we feel that the investment and the business activity of the Japanese companies will contribute to the economy and jobs in this country.
This is a process that we're reviewing to see how we can make progress in the automobile value chain, and we have agreed that we need to continue working together. We signed the MOU. This MOU will provide an opportunity for Japanese investors to work with Kirdi to train, the local manufacturers.
In addition to the automobile plant, the Japanese government plans to enhance skills and expertise of 15 Kenyan students pursuing technology-related courses through internships.
This is the first time we are doing this kind of activity to have them actually work in a Japanese IT company. And so let's see what happens.
We have also agreed, these already agreements that are already in place, that JICA is going to support the development of the internal infrastructure around Dongokundu.
The 58 billion shillings investment by the Japanese International Cooperation Agency is expected to enhance connectivity and support the growth of the special economic zone by constructing water supply systems. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Kenyan firm Savannah Clinker has offered 70 shillings per share in a takeover bid for Bamburi Cement. Savannah Clinker's offer is 5 shillings per share more than a bid placed earlier by Amson's Group.
Tanzania-based Amazon Group early last month issued a binding offer for 65 shillings per share to acquire 100% stake in Kenya Bamburi Cement PLC. And today, Kenya-based Savannah Clinker Limited has countered that offer by binding 70 shillings per share of their takeover Bamburi Cement subject to regulatory and shareholder approvals. The binding by Savannah Clinker is 5 shillings per share, more than what the Tanzania firm had over. While confirming the counter-offer development, Savannah Clinker Executive Chairman Director Benson Teta say that the firm is now moving to complete its competing offer document in strict compliance with regulatory requirements for the consideration of Bamburi Cement shareholders. Teta says Savannah Clinker is keen on keeping Bamburi Cement listed, with up to 40% of shares available as a free float to institutional and local investors. Savannah Clinker, which was established in 2019, has interest in mining, manufacturing, processing, packaging, marketing, and is developing clinker processing plant in Kitui County. Felix Q for Prime Edition.
Now that puts a cap on matters business, we head over to the sporting arena with Karen Kibet. To you.
Thank you very much, Regina, for keeping us up to speed with the latest in the business, with the latest in the world of business. My name is Karen Kibet. Let's now talk sports. Andrew Kipto Alamisi won Kenya's first gold medal in the 5,000 meters on the day one of the 20th World Athletics Under-20 Championships in Lima, Peru earlier today. Mercy Jepkemoi and Sheila Chebet finished 4th and 5th in the women's race.
Double Youth Commonwealth Games silver medalist Andrew Alamisi outsprinted Ethiopia's Abitsa Fayisa and Kenneth Kiprop of Uganda to win the 5,000 meters final in 13 minutes, 41.14 seconds, and win the first gold medal for Team Kenya.
Is the champion for Kenya. Fayisa takes second, and in the end, it's one medal each for Kenya, Ethiopia, and Uganda.
Fayisa won silver in 13 minutes, 41.56 seconds, while Kiprop finished third in 13 minutes, 41.73 seconds, followed by former world junior cross-country champion Ishmael Krokito Kipkurui of Kenya in 4th position. Kenyans Mercy Jepkemoi and Sheila Chebet finished 4th and 5th in the women's race. Eisa Medina led Ethiopia to a 1-2 finish, winning gold in a new championship record of 14 minutes, 39.79 seconds, with Uganda's Charity Cherop winning bronze.
Held by Genzabe Dibaba, stands from 2010, that record, but she has rewritten that.
The Kenya Masters Athletics team returned home last night from the 25th edition of the World Championships held in Gothenburg, Sweden, receiving a heroic welcome at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. The team's show in Gothenburg has been marked in history as Kenya's best performance in an international athletics competition across all ages.
The Kenya national athletics team landed safely back home from Sweden, where it took part in the 22nd edition of the World Masters Championship. Kenya finished 21st on the medal table, with a total of 26 medals and second in Africa behind South Africa, who had 23 medals, but bettered Kenya's gold medal tally. Nigeria was third on the continent with only 1 gold medal, while Egypt was ranked 4th with 1 bronze. United States, who had registered 600 athletes for the competition, emerged overall winners with 224 medals.
My prayer is that
May the Lord continue to bless our nation, bless our people, bless our athletes. And my call to all athletes, the masters and even the elite, is that we may continue to compete clean without any enhancing drugs.
It was the 4th time Kenya was taking part in the World Masters, having competed in Perth, Australia in 2016, Malaga, Spain in 2019, and Toran, Poland last year.
Tulikimbia mzuri sana. Lakini waja niwaambie saa hii wenzangu wa Masters. Mchezo sio rahisi. Mbio sio rahisi. Hakuna uzee. Kuna watu ya 80 na anakimbia kama watu wadogo. To train mzuri.
Kenya had a team of 26 athletes who will embark on training later in the year to prepare for the World Indoor Championships slated for Florida, USA in March 2025. The 26th edition of the World Masters Athletics Championships will be held in Daegu, South Korea in 2026.
Beautiful. Moving on, Kenya Police Bullets will play CBE Women Club in Ethiopia in the final of the Sekafa Women's Champions League qualifiers tomorrow afternoon in Ethiopia. The winner of the match will book a direct ticket to the 4th edition of the CAF Women's Champions League to be played in November this year.
Kenya Police Bullets will field a strong starting 11 against CBE Women Club in the final of the Sekafa tournament in Ethiopia as they seek to secure their place in the CAF Champions League. Head coach Beldin Odemba says the team will not change tactics in the final as they got their game right to reach that far in the tournament. Police Bullets defeated Tanzania Simba Queens 3-2 in the semi-final, having trailed 2-1 midway through the second half.
We are moving on with making good changes when changes are needed, and believing in players, especially the new ones, when they show something. And we also believe that in this coming match, they will give us a good match.
Kila mechi ilikuwa ni kama finali kwetu, so tumefurahia kufika finali na tuko na imani that tunaenda kushinda na kurudi na kikombe nyumbani.
This is the MOU we had signed before.
Meanwhile, AFC Leopards have unveiled 4 new partners for the 2024-2025 season as they roll out plans to convert the team from a society club to corporate to harness their financial capability. The partners unveiled include kits manufacturer Mafro, who will produce both players' jerseys and replica kits, Sporty H2O, Hypasa, who joins as financial sustainability partners, and New Trends, who will enhance the club's fans engagement.
It is through our collective efforts as NEC that we will build the unity required to propel the club to higher heights by making sure we engage and work with everybody.
At Mafro Sports, we believe in the power of sports to unite communities, inspire young talent, and drive positive change. FC Leopards, with its rich history and passionate fan base, embodies these values.
And finally, 2,500 elite cyclists from 21 countries, including Ethiopia, Eritrea, USA, France, and the East African community, will compete in the 23rd edition of the Jubilee Insurance Grand Live Free Race to be held on the 29th of September in Nairobi. The event will harness the freedom inherent in cycling to raise awareness on the importance of prioritizing health and financial planning.
If there's a way in which we can live life in a positive way and create community, create connection, create a sense of society. That's what Jubilee we believe in. And so the race is one way, the Wellness App is another, our engagements on all the other platforms are other ways in which we drive for that sense of community, because relatedness and being part of something is something that enables human beings to flourish.
We believe that through cycling, then we are addressing other societal issues around carbon emissions, reduced emissions, urban mobility and urban transport. How do we make sure that then we bring all these elements together that works towards helping us build a better community for the people and for the citizens that live in this city?
Jubilee has pumped 20 million shillings into the event that will feature 6 categories, including the flagship 60-kilometer main race, a 12-kilometer family fun ride, the popular 48-kilometer Black Mamba ride, 2-kilometer kiddies race, a 48-kilometer paracycling race, and 60-kilometer team race for teams of 6 riders, and will start at the Nyayo National Stadium.
Thank you, Barkley, for that detailed report. Murang'a SEAL Vice Chairperson Hussein Mohammed will vie for the position of president in the coming Football Kenya Federation election set for late this year. If elected, Hussein says his main objective will be to grant as many Kenyan players as possible a chance to play.
Campaign. Convince your colleagues that you can do different from those who have been there, including my own position, starting with my own position.
Few days after FKF President Nick Mwendwa announced that the FKF elections will be conducted this year, Murang'a SEAL Vice Chairperson Hussein Mohammed on Wednesday took to the podium to declare his interest in the top seat. In his speech, Hussein stated that he will ensure fair play in the sport, noting that every player will be in a position to represent the country at the international level.
My track record on how I managed referees at extreme sports speaks for itself. They were appointed on merit and were always paid on time. I will make sure that that continues.
He also added that footballers in Kenya lack motivation, something he prioritizes in his manifesto.
My administration will follow an economic model that pursues sustainability in growth. We will combine efforts towards revenue growth, diversification, alongside cost containment.
Also in attendance was UDA Secretary General Hassan Omar, who noted that Kenya needs to start early preparations so as to give their best in the 2027 African Cup of Nations.
We need to vote wisely. The only wise vote this coming election is Hussein Mohammed.
My legend, mukuja mushikilia Hussein. Mushikilia Hussein na mumpatia njia za kufanya kazi tupeleke mpira mbele.
Current President Nick Mwendwa has been in charge of the federation since 2016.
After making it clear that he will vie for the topmost FKF seat, Hussein Mohammed has made it clear that when given the opportunity, he will ensure equal opportunities to all players in the country. For Prime Edition Sports, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
Thank you, Dan, for that report. Now, finally, Naomi Osaka made a triumphant U.S. Open return by beating Yelena Ostapenko in 2 straight sets in their blockbuster first-round match. Japan's Osaka is a 2-time champion at Flushing Meadows, winning the first of her 4 Grand Slam titles in New York in 2018 and repeating the feat in 2020. And those are all the sports stories we had for you tonight. My name is Karen Kibet. Have yourself a peaceful night. My colleagues Regina, Manyara and John Jacob Kioria will be back shortly. Don't change that dial.
Well, and that's how we put a cap on Prime Edition. Thank you very much for joining us. Have yourself a fantastic night and God bless.
Well, I would say what a week, then I just remember it's just Wednesday, but not all the same. Have a pleasant, restful evening ahead. I'm Regina, Manyara.
Zawadi za kila wiki, 100,000 kila wiki, 250,000 kila wiki. Uamuzi ni wako. Sasa Lotomoto kwenye holiday bonanza hii inakuletea game mpya kupitia *570# option 4 na ujishindie up to 250,000 Kenyan shillings ukiwa nyumbani. Na draw ni ya kila wiki, na kupata tikiti yako ni kupitia *570# pekee option 4, na tikiti yako ikitufikia inaingia ndani ya drum.
Mtazamaji, tumekuandalia taarifa zinazogonga vichwa vya vyombo vya habari kutoka hapa jijini Nairobi na pia